Are you ready for the banal 9/11 salutes on Sunday?
Oh, it is the 11th.
Yeah. You ready for those? You ready for those?
I wonder.
No.
I wonder.
They can't refuse. They can't help themselves. They're still washing the stink off of kneeling during the national anthem. They have to prove that they're American. God damn it, we're American.
I wonder. All right. Okay. You want to know what's pathetic?
What's that?
I'll tell you what's pathetic in a second here. I'll tell you right at the beginning that America, that we really have lost our way, and I can prove it.
Okay. I'm ready to hear you. I'm open to hearing what you have to say.
Let me see. It's okay. It's the Brad and Britt cast. Last one for this week. That gives you the whole weekend to marinate, and then come back on Monday with us when we do our next one. But boy, this is, man, we put it all out on the line here, and I hate to start on a downer, and I hate to use little anecdotes, little cultural anecdotes, personal ones specifically, as some kind of signpost for the deterioration of our country, our civilization, our way of life. But we have been forced in the Brad and Jane household to order our gum from Amazon.
Oh my God.
Can't find it in stores.
Oh, the horror.
At all. We can't get it. It's just not there. The stores are empty. If you've been in a grocery store at all and you look in the candy department, first of all, there's a lot of holes, like there's cavities in there. But something happened to the gum industry in this country, and I'm tired of it. And I'm forced to buy it on Amazon. We like the Trident white, the chiclet kind of, it's good. We like it. We used to be able to buy, a big bag for $6, 180. It don't exist anymore. You can't find it. So I have to order it on Amazon. And I feel like an idiot, just an idiot having bags of gum delivered. I think about the environmental destruction we're causing on the planet so we can have our stupid gum.
I assume this means you'll be pulling your support for Joe Biden in the next election. I assume that in 2024 you're supporting someone else.
Britt, obviously, we know whose fault this is, and I didn't want to go there, but you made me.
I'm sorry.
I've rethought everything. And I thought, man, if the genius from Palm Beach and New Jersey was still around, you think I'd have to order my gum on Amazon? Hell no.
Goddamn wrong.
Hell no.
No, you'd be out there. By the way, speaking of inappropriate humor, can you see this little comment on the bottom from John the Catholic?
I thought Queen had died with Freddie Mercury.
Too soon, John.
No. It isn't even a question of too soon. It's preemptive too soon. It's preemptive too soon. That's the line. Okay, now, Britt, this is another person we can't ever speak to again.
Could you please have her die before Sunday, because that's 9/11 and that's our thing. If you could just we got a no-fly zone over Sunday, the beginning of the NFL season. By the way, the Jets are playing at home, as if the people in New York haven't suffered enough. They have to also watch the Jets on Sunday at home. Yes, that's going to be happening on Sunday. Yeah, the Queen is not doing well, according to many news reports. In case you are not aware,
she's dead.
She's dead already.
She just died during the Brad and Britt cast. It's official.
Well,
it's official. And by the way, poor Prince Charles, who will now be King Charles, right? he's already been one of these people who, I guess now for about 60 years, has done what folks are doing now, which is putting half-ass effort into their jobs. What's that called now, where you're not working as hard?
Quiet quitting is what it's called.
Right. That guy's been quiet quitting since 1949. Okay.
Also known as being one of Britt's co-workers.
Yeah.
That's two things. By the way, here, we bitch a lot about the age of our president. Here is a very young whippersnapper, Charles, 73 years of age, 74 in November. So there he is, just a toddler, Prince Charles, now ascending to the throne as King Charles.
Right. And by the way, that is the lamest attempt to connect something that doesn't connect ever. That's a hereditary bullshit position.
It is.
It has nothing to do with anything. It is not related to elected
Although they made the new prime minister, she's got to go before the queen and ask permission to form a government. They had to do that the other day. Of course, it's a formality. That's all it is.
So she already did that.
She did that
in time,
and then all of a sudden she was and then surprisingly, right after that, the queen dies. So I think this new prime minister is the one who killed her.
Well, she's lucky, because if she would have had to have been in a room alone with Charles, big hands, the king.
Yeah.
Wow. You don't want to be in a room alone with that guy. Huh? You want to at least have Horseface in there with you, right? As the
Horseface. It's Queen Horseface. Long live the new Queen Horseface. All right. See, this does not in any way reflect our condolences to the British people, or at least the ones who do give a shit about this stuff.
No, Britt, it does not affect in the least our special relationship.
Correct.
Okay, I got a great idea. This is the best. Biden should call up Trump and ask him to represent the United States.
That's the greatest.
Remember what he did when he was over there? He like step in front of her, or he did something.
Yeah, it's really gauche,
inappropriate that you're not supposed to do in terms of etiquette. Like he shook her hand or something. You're not supposed to touch the queen.
Something, yeah.
Just something stupid.
Something horrible.
Give him something to do. Give him something to do, because his mind right now is really playing tricks on him, and
You think?
I'm really getting worried here.
You know that we just passed the 25th anniversary, of course. I know that you saw it, of all of the Princess Diana stuff when she died, which would have also been the 25th anniversary of my marriage, had my marriage survived, because we woke up the next day to head to our honeymoon, and oh, look, there's something to bless us. Apparently, Princess Diana has died in a tunnel in Paris. How about that?
Yeah. All right, let's go to the list here. There have always been Karens. They just had another name. Why does the bullshit work? Texas anti-Obamacare quest continues with a preliminary preemptive tip of the hat to John the Catholic. Excuse number eight. Excedrin headache number 67. And the issue of health in the Pennsylvania Senate race, or Steve Bannon. Let's see, we got way too much. We're overloaded today.
Sure. Let's do the Texas situation that you were referring to there.
Yeah. All right. John the Catholic posted on Facebook, on my Facebook page, a little piece about something I'd completely forgotten about. And we've updated it here. And here's the story, because I think we even mentioned this in passing, not directly, but you mentioned the great moment of John McCain saving Obamacare in the U.S. Senate about 4 years ago or so, right?
It was fairly personal to me, because at that time I was covered under the Affordable Care Act.
Yeah. But even with that was a different world. And here's why. The world that existed when John McCain did that was one where the Supreme Court had already several times not voted to knock out Obamacare. They had several opportunities to do it. If you remember, different cases came up. And in particular, I think John Roberts was always the deciding factor in the 5-4 decisions that did save it. But we have a case that's running through the bloodstream right now of American jurisprudence. It's called Kelly versus Becerra. Becerra, I believe he's the Health and Human Services Secretary, Xavier Becerra. And it's before a federal judge in Texas. I've not checked the pedigree of this federal judge in Texas, but I'm just guessing. I'm just going to take a wild guess here that this judge was not appointed by Franklin Roosevelt, Lyndon Johnson, or Bill Clinton. Okay, I'm just guessing, or Obama. If the judge rules in favor of the plaintiff, who is Kelly, access to free birth control, cancer screenings, vaccines, HIV procedures, counseling for alcohol misuse, diet counseling for people at higher risk for chronic disease, and a lot more of the preventive services that we know and love and don't get billed for when we go for the doctor, they will be knocked out. 150 million people could lose access. That's the American Medical Association president speaking. A lot is at stake here. It's the preventative care mandate. And this is the killer. Who is Kelly? Who is fucking Kelly that's on the other side of this lawsuit? His name is John Kelly. He is an orthodontist who lives in Tarrant County, Texas. That's right around Dallas, I do believe. I believe that's the Dallas area. He has no desire to purchase health insurance that includes contraceptive coverage because his wife is past her childbearing years. That's according to the complaint. How the fuck did this ever get not even to the batter's box, let alone to first base? How dare you? He says he doesn't want or need health care coverage that covers all these other things because none of his family members is engaged in behavior that would cause, say, HIV. Mr. Kelly is also a Christian, and he's unwilling to purchase health insurance plans that subsidize certain types of contraception that encourage homosexual behavior and intravenous drug use. By the way, his attorney is the same asshole attorney who's behind the brand new Texas abortion law. So it all fits together, doesn't it? But my question to you, Mr. Kelly, you piece of shit, you don't need contraceptive coverage anymore. No, you don't. Your wife doesn't anymore because she's past childbearing age. Well, you know what? Your fucking kids are past school age too, public school age. Do you get to go to court and say, I'm not going to pay my property taxes anymore? Why should I pay them? Why don't you slice out the part of my property tax that goes to schools in my district? Because my kids have outgrown school. Fuck you. This is republicanism on steroids. This is what they are all about. It's all about me. If it doesn't benefit me right now, fuck you. Fuck society. Fuck the collective responsibility that we all have as citizens to each other. Fuck it all. I want what I want. I'm a Republican. I'm a Trumpist. The same thing. They're equal. If you're one, you're the other. And God, I'm pissed off at this. This is just so, and by the way, in the Supreme Court, it's very possible that this one's going to fly. This one, they're going to win this.
Sure.
They're going to win this one. If it's going to get to that level, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. This is the one. They picked this one to go all the way with. How obnoxious is this?
I do have information about the judge. His name is Reed O'Connor, and he was nominated by President George W. Bush to the United States District Court for the Northern District of Texas in 2007.
That's good enough. That'll work.
University of Houston.
That'll get her done. That'll get her
bachelor's from the University of Houston and a law degree from Duke. No, I'm kidding. That's not true today. It's the South Texas College of Law in Houston is where he gets his JD.
Right. Thank you to John the Catholic for bringing this issue up, because these are the things, these are the stories that are there, and most people aren't paying attention to them. Why should they? And you don't know about them until it becomes a Supreme Court case and then a decision. And then it's the biggest thing in the world, which it would be if this happened. This would just cause all kinds of chaos and trauma for a lot of people who are already under the gun economically because of inflation and other things. So that's just what you need. You need to get hit with that $35 copay now for every little thing that you go to the. Let's go back to that's when America was great, wasn't it, Britt?
What's wrong with that? What's wrong with
exactly?
That? Hey, it gave you skin in the game. It really made you invest in your health care.
Right. Because I think if they did the research, they would find this, that so many people have just been going to the doctor for the fun of it for these past 10 years since Obama, because they don't get a copay bill right there, right? And it's so much fun to go to. People are abusing that part of the system, the preventative care part of.
This is how fucked up. This is partially how fucked up it is in the United States with our healthcare. I had a procedure done a few weeks ago, about a month ago. I had a cardioversion done. They shocked my heart back into rhythm. I was diagnosed with an AFib. So they shave your chest, they knock you out, they put the thing on and boom, and they shock your heart back into rhythm. It's a very easy procedure. It took no time at all. I have really good health insurance. It's some of the best you're going to find in the area we live in. And my out-of-pocket cost was like $800. So there you go.
Well,
it's America. Ain't that America for you and me?
You know what, Britt? That wasn't enough. Because if you would have to pay, say, $5,000,
yeah,
okay, that would teach you
I would
to
keep
be
that heart
more
rhythm
responsible with your heart rhythm instead of fucking with it, okay? instead of putting that Pearl Jam shit in your head, which fucks you up.
It does. It does.
You'd know better.
That's what it does. It's that hippie music.
Right. Okay. How about excuse number 8? Excedrin headache number 67.
Yeah, let's do that one.
I would ask you, but I'm not going to bother to make you do it. All the excuses Trump has rolled out, the bullshit that he's rolled out the past 3 weeks or so since the FBI paid a visit to his house when he was not there.
Yeah.
In order to not embarrass him. The excuses are just endless when he decides to ever even bring it up, because usually it's I'm the victim, they had no business, they had no right.
I can declassify whatever the fuck I want to.
Right. So the latest one is that I had to grab those documents to protect them from Joe Biden. Because those documents, many of them, have all the Russiagate details, all the plots and schemes against him, the truth, the deep state plots against him. And he wanted to hustle them out of there so that when Joe Biden, who is known to rifle through all of the classified documents that he's allowed to, he was going to grab them. He was going to grab them, and he was going to get rid of them, because that would then exonerate the deep state from the outrage that they perpetrated on Donald Trump day after day during his administration. All right, here you go. According to a person with direct knowledge of the situation, this is reporting by Rolling Stone, Trump told several people working in and outside the White House he was concerned that the incoming administration of Joe Biden, or the deep state, would supposedly shred, bury, or destroy, quote, the evidence that Trump was somehow wronged. His concern about preserving the Russia-related material is newly relevant after the FBI search turned up a trove of government documents at his house. Okay, Britt, it took him 3 weeks to come up with this one, because this one's so creatively stupid. You can't even believe it.
I still like the idea of the guys on Fox and Friends over the weekend saying they're just folders. They're just folders that say classified and top secret on them. He just needed folders. There was nothing. They can't prove that there was any secrets in there.
But Britt, this is a perfect example of how you put poison into the pond. Yeah. And it just radiates out. Because you remember that fucking asshole John Ratcliffe, who was the head of DNI for about a minute. Mm-hmm. He was on the impeachment in the hearings, and it was a complete in the tanker for Trump, just the worst of the worst. He said he had no knowledge of what was in the records. But, quote, it wouldn't surprise me if there were records related to Russia there. See? So they all put their little block onto the wall of lies. And the next thing you know is Britt, they're going to have to disprove Donald Trump because he's saying that these were papers that exonerated him and implicated the government in their attempt to destroy his presidency. You're going to have to show us that Donald Trump, right? And so that's how this worked. That's how Trump has gotten away with, when I say this, and everything for 50 years. This is the game. This is the game. There should be no reason to talk about this, okay? Because this is just a fanciful line of bullshit, but it will be given equal weight with the fact that clearly Donald Trump was illegally in possession of papers and national security secrets that endanger the United States, the world, our nuclear program, other countries' nuclear programs, spies, and intelligence, who gathers it, how it's gathered. That is now equal with, well, but there were papers in there that really were bad for Trump, so that's why he had to get them out. And they will give equal weight to those two things.
Sure.
As if that's a legitimate discussion. And it's not. It's just not. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. But this will run for a couple of days, right? And then he'll move on to the next thing here.
Mm-hmm.
I bring that up because there's a great piece. This is just a wonderful, wonderful piece. Let me call it up here. And it's by the great Heather Digby Parton.
Okay.
You know Digby? You've seen her blog forever.
Sure.
And she's writing in Salon this time. It's called Teflon Don, How Trump Keeps Getting Away with It All, Even Top Secret Nuclear Documents. And she runs through a much better, clear recitation of the concept that I just talked about here with this new line of bullshit about what Trump was up to when he protected pretty soon it'll be, I protected the papers, right? Is that going to be the next one?
That's the cutest thing. So the theory there would be that Joe Biden was going to destroy the papers. Is that right? Is that what we're
yes.
going for?
Well, yes, that's part of it because there was so much exonerating evidence inside those national security files. Which, by the way, think of the narcissism there. Okay, you know, clearly this process of protecting nationals has been in place, I'm sure, since the end of World War II, whenever the modern security state came into being. But Donald Trump would have you believe that all that all the people, all of the apparatus to protect our country went on ice for 4 years just to go after Donald Trump. That's all they cared about. National security, right? But to his people, you could sell that. You could sell that. And Miss Parton starts off with the use of the word hoax, that Trump calls everything a hoax. It's always a hoax. Can you name one thing that's been not favorable to Donald Trump that he didn't call a hoax? The answer is you can't. The impeachments were a hoax, right? Russia was a hoax. The Mueller investigation, it was a hoax. Everything's a hoax.
It's a witch hunt.
And we kind of giggle at that, but you know what? It works. It works. It gets right into the brains of people who want to believe that Donald Trump is always the victim, always the aggrieved party. They spy on my campaign, rigged and stole the election, go after me for doing nothing wrong. Only in America. On and on he goes, over and over and over again. You create the fake controversy, right? And let me just read this so that it makes perfect sense. See, there's only so much fake controversy circling in the ether.
Correct.
That the authorities, either law enforcement or the courts, then have no choice but to bend over backwards to ensure there is, quote, no perception of unfairness, when in fact the whole manufactured dispute is blatantly biased. It's bullshit. This works in reverse also. The controversy can also lead authorities to go harder on Democrats so as not to appear biased in the face of the right's accusations, Fox News, etc. It's always a win for the Republicans, right? So everything against Republicans is unfair and a hoax and made up, and anything having to do with Democrats has to be pursued twice as hard to assuage the bullshit that's going to come from the right. Facts be damned, the evidence irrelevant. Not the point, never the point. And it all leads up to the past week with this just inexplicably pathetic, it's explicable, it's explainable, because Judge Cannon down there in Fort Pierce is completely in the tank for Donald Trump.
Correct.
I mean, this is just one of the worst decisions that we've ever seen. So there you go. I think it's a great little piece. I highly recommend it. I'll put it up if I didn't already. I don't think I did. But
again, I don't think the special master thing is going to do anything other than delay. The special master isn't going to exonerate him in any way, shape, or form.
But the delay is the point. It's just like the cruelty is the policy, right? The delay is the point.
Well, it just gives him more time to think up bullshit excuses like the one you were just talking about.
Right. Now, Britt, I was, over the weekend, I was listening to an internet station that was rerunning all these old audio soundbite tapes of radio in Chicago in the 1970s, including the newscasts in the late 60s, early 70s. And I happened to bump into one of the newscasts at that moment where the peace talks in Vietnam that were apparently, supposedly, maybe about to happen were being delayed for weeks because they just couldn't agree on the shape of the table. It was very, very important that the right people would be sitting next to the correct people and not have to be within, arm's length of other enemies. This is the North Vietnamese, this is South Vietnam, this is France, this is the United States, and they fought over the shape of the table. So clearly, the only reason that could have happened is because somebody wanted to delay. Somebody wanted to delay the peace talks, and that was the point. And that's just like what Trump does. It's always arguing over the shape of the table, which is not relevant to the war that you're going to talk about at the peace talks. It's never relevant to it. It's always a distraction. So the answer, of course, there's no way that a, quote, special master is going to look at everything that's in front of him or her and say, nothing to see, move along. That's not going to happen. But this is just about throwing some sand into the gears and slowing things down. Britt, many years ago, I wrote an essay, and the title of it was called "Justice Delayed, Justice Denied." I was the guy that came up with that. You were the guy.
You were the guy that came up with it. That's good for you.
And it certainly applies here. I don't get any credit for that. I don't want credit for it. Don't do that.
Oh yeah, you didn't try to copyright that or put a service mark on it or anything.
No, I thought that the world deserved it, and
this kind of glides nicely into the Steve Bannon situation. Steve Bannon has surrendered himself to authorities, being charged with simple, cheap money laundering in the We Build the Wall fundraising fraud case, Brad. Of course, he was, for a hot minute, the political director with a office within a few feet of the president when Trump was in office, and now it looks like he's got really no defense whatsoever.
You know what the weirdest thing when you're looking at all the video or pictures of Bannon, the weirdest thing is when you actually see him in a nice suit with a nice tie and a nice shirt and his hair combed. That's the outlier. That's the accidental moment that you catch him, because his shtick is to look like, you ready for this? He looks like John Fetterman with hair. That disheveled.
How dare you?
Yeah.
How dare you? Well, at least Fetterman's had a stroke. I don't know what Banna's excuse is.
Right. Yeah, there's no defense here. This is a classic rip off of a charity thing. And apparently Bannon is really, really wealthy. And I don't think it's just from Seinfeld residuals or anything of that sort. I think he's made a lot of money for a long time. And that always interests me when someone with millions of dollars decides, okay, all right, we got 20 million coming into this wall thing. Let's grab a couple 100,000 and take some vacations. And it's not worth it. That's my point. It's never worth it. But in particular, it's not worth it if you could have everything that you're using that money for yourself on your own with your own funds. It doesn't make any sense to me, but greed is a universal thing. And I guess Bannon would just be that guy. What else can you say?
I'm looking at some of the shitty movies he has produced, and it kind of reminds me. Are you hearing any reviews of this the Hunter Biden film that is out that they're producing? They're paying people. They're charging people $22 to stream on some sort of bullshit conservative site.
No, I did see one review. It said it's the feel-good movie of the year.
I saw one person. I can't remember which website it was, but they said it was just fucking dreadful. The acting was terrible, and they've been able to bilk all of these conservatives who haven't already been bilked out of giving money to Donald Trump and all this other horse shit. They've been able to screw them out of $22. The guy who plays Hunter Biden looks nothing like Hunter Biden. The guy who plays Joe Biden looks nothing like Joe Biden. It's horrific.
I don't know why that doesn't matter, Britt, because the idea is so strong.
So good.
The script is so good.
My Son Hunter is the name of the film. I don't even know where that you could find this thing if you really hated yourself and wanted to spend $22 on bullshit. From what I hear, you can't even really stream it to your TV. You kind of have to watch it on your phone, maybe on your laptop. You can't really even project it to your television. But I heard the review I saw said it was just as bad as you would think it is.
In other words, it's that great.
Every bit the shit show that. What's the name of the stupid the 3,000 Mules or whatever that horseshit movie is that they got out there?
Yeah, Clint Eastwood, right?
The Dinesh D'Souza film that's supposed to really blow the lid off of the 2022 election or whatever.
Wasn't Clint Eastwood's movie The Mule?
It was The Mule. This is Dinesh. That's a real movie that's pretty good. The Dinesh D'Souza movie is called like 3,000 Mules, and it supposedly blows the lid off the 2020 election and all the fraud and shit.
And you know what, Britt? They don't want you to see it. They're trying to.
They don't want you to see it.
If you just saw it. If you just saw it. Okay, here we go. There have always been Karens. They just had another name. I saw this story. Nobody pays attention to this shit except me. But since the U.S. Open tennis is going on right now, and we all have a problem at some level with our history. Doesn't matter when or who or how. And in the case of tennis, they have a problem with their history. And that problem is two words: Margaret Court. When I was a kid, Margaret Court, back then she was Margaret Smith Court. Okay. She must have murdered Mr. Smith or divorced him or something. She was Margaret Smith Court. Was the best women's tennis player in the world. She won more majors than anybody else, and she still holds the record. Serena Williams did not catch her. But there are all kinds of caveats on that, and of course, asterisks on Margaret Court's major wins, which is past Serena Williams. It's a couple higher because she played in a different era. I don't even think professionals were playing in the Australian Open. All these kind of things. It was a lot easier then, but that's beside the point. So Margaret Court, now she's like 85, and she's a right-wing bitch, okay? And everything is, the world sucks now. I get no respect. Why hasn't Serena Williams called and told me how much she admires me? Okay, this is the kind of person that she is. She's really nasty now.
Well, up until about a week ago, most of the world thought that Margaret Court was dead.
Right. But there's a phrase for people like her. It's called Miss Ann, MISS, new word, capital ANN. And that's a Karen. Apparently the British or the Australians have been using that phrase forever to describe what we now consider to be an entitled white woman who thinks everything is about her and deserves a place in the world above you because she's better than you. Yeah.
So the problem that Margaret Court has with Serena Williams is she hasn't shown the proper fealty to her personally.
Exactly.
That's the issue that she has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I don't know, but they're called Miss Anns, but I guess Karen is a lot easier for us.
It is
to go with.
Although I know some Karens that are nice people. I'm sorry that they've been caught up in this, but it has to be what it has to be.
That's their real name.
That's their actual name. Yeah, I feel bad. That was their God-given Christian. My cousin Karen, perfectly nice person. Would never think of calling.
Sorry, Britt, but the fact is, she's a Karen.
She is. She's been cursed.
Or you know what? She get her a shirt that says "Not a Karen."
And I feel like so in arrears, Karen Carpenter is getting slimed with this, and I really don't like it. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah, but there you have. So Miss Ann, that's part of those words that the British have that we don't. Lift for elevator and petrol and all that other crap that they. That's not understanding. Drivel, bangers and mash. What is? I don't even know what that is. I don't know.
Bangers and mash is just sausage and mashed potatoes. That's all that is. No.
So
it's a true story.
Doesn't.
You want to do Pennsylvania, or why does the bullshit work?
We already did why the bullshit worked.
We already did. Okay, we covered that one. Let's go to Pennsylvania, where I think John Fetterman has agreed that he will debate Dr. Oz. Correct?
He's saying that he will. He's saying that he's acknowledging that he has speech and hearing issues that are hopefully resolving themselves. But here's the thing: the real question is, and he'll show up and. He's not going to be 100% probably. He's not going to fully recover. But of course, at this point, with him slightly, depending on what poll you read, in the lead, and Dr. Oz being the lowest form of human scum to ever walk the earth, the real question is, how far is Dr. Oz going to go on this? Because if the argument is that John Fetterman, because of his health, is just not up to representing the people of Pennsylvania, that's a pretty low blow. And by the way, this has come up in Pennsylvania and in other races across the country. I believe this is correct. When Tammy Duckworth, who she's missing 3 limbs, right? That she lost flying helicopters.
That's right.
During the Afghan war. When she was running against the incumbent. I can't remember his name, Mark Kirk or something. And Kirk had a stroke a couple years before, and he recovered pretty well. And so in that race, everybody was respectful of everybody. Nobody brought it up, and she won pretty big anyway. It wasn't like it was a close race. She won, and made it in there. But Dr. Oz, and I would make this argument if I was on the Fed. And by the way, they're running a great campaign for him, so they don't need our help. But a bunch of doctors in Pennsylvania a couple of months ago got together and signed a petition that Dr. Oz himself is the threat to public health.
Ooh.
Because of all the quackery, all the crap that he was dispensing on his TV show for 20 years, that's the real threat to public health. So if you're in Pennsylvania, you could be presented with a dilemma there. Which is more injurious to the citizens of Pennsylvania. Having a senator who physically is not 100%, or a senator who has probably endangered, probably killed lots of people by selling them crap that they depended on to help with arthritis or heart disease or any of the other things. That's what I'd turn it back on him. I'd turn it back on him. I'd go full bore on that.
If you're watching us right now, this is the story from August that Brad's referring to, where Pennsylvania doctors call Oz's run for the Senate a threat to public health. They had a big media blitz and all that good stuff back in August. It's about a month ago.
Yeah. That's.
And you were 100% correct. Mark Kirk was the person that Tammy Duckworth did defeat in order to go to the United States Senate. Became the first senator ever to give birth while she was in the United States Senate. Not, when it was in session, but while she was a senator. No one has ever done that.
Sounds like Trivial Pursuit material for the 20-aughts, right?
Do you know the first president that was ever sworn in by a woman?
Let's see. I'll go with Harry Truman.
Bit of a trick question. It's actually Lyndon Baines Johnson.
It's not a trick question.
Well, it was kind of an emergency last-minute thing.
Oh, okay. It was on the airplane. Okay, I get it.
Yeah. They had to kind of hustle. It's a bit of a trick question. It wasn't.
Well, no, because a woman could actually do it on land, not after an assassination. They are capable of doing it.
They could
read the 8 words.
But in 1963, it wasn't thought possible so much. So it was
that a woman could read the oath. Yes,
that a woman could be a judge. That was also kind of a novel concept, I believe, in 1963. It was unusual.
Well, and not only right, and all these years later, we have one of the greatest judges ever in Fort Pierce, Florida, a federal judge.
So fuck you, liberals. How do you like your feminism now?
Running interference for our boy.
How you like that? You like that feminism now, liberals? Fuck you.
Yeah. Okay. I have a fun game for you now. You have your internets open in front of you, right? I
do. Yes.
I just want you to put the words Ted Budd into Google and see what comes up. Because this guy, he's no different than Dr. Oz. I mean, he's a Republican candidate for U.S. Senate.
Yeah.
And just look at the shit. The guy doesn't even exist. Look at these articles. Look what comes up. Go ahead.
Do you want me to go into the news tab or just the regular?
The news.
Google tab?
Do the news.
Go to the news tab. Okay. Our news tab. The first one is to address child abuse. Budd should vote to put money ... from Indy Week. Where's Ted Budd in campaign for U.S. Senate? Says the Charlotte Observer. Maybe right where he wants to be. Ted Budd. Now this is an interesting story because it has some local appeal. Budd and Tilla seek answer from DHS in the murder of a Wake County deputy. Have you been following this story a little bit?
A little bit.
This was the deputy, unfortunately, who was murdered and ambushed kind of just on the side of the road. They did arrest the folks. Since then, the family of the murdered deputy have been pretty pissed off at the Wake County sheriff. The Wake County sheriff threw actual instructions at the funeral home that was cremating the guy to cut every inch of that uniform off of his body. Give us back the badge, the nameplate, the ID, all of the stuff. We need that back at the sheriff's headquarters. They also didn't have the sheriff present the flag. They had one of the canines present the flag to the family because I don't know if the family liked the sheriff or not. Some of those canines have either been suspended or fired since then. Some of those canine officers. This has turned into a very, very ugly situation in law enforcement in North Carolina. So they're trying to drag Ted Budd in on a federal level to get into this whole situation. New campaign ad blames Budd for agriculture company. Ted Budd still undecided on debating Sherry Beasley for North Carolina's open U.S. Senate seat, Brad. That's from Fox 8
really?
WJP.
You're kidding. Did Ted Budd have a stroke?
It's not. I don't know. I mean,
is he infirm?
Because, she's black. I don't know if I should debate her. I'm not sure. I'm Margaret Court. I don't know if she's showing.
Why should a white man, a Miss Ann male version,
correct,
lower himself to be seen on a stage with a black woman?
I'll do a Zoom debate, okay? I'll do a Zoom debate so that the black woman can debate me, but I can't be seen on the same stage as Sherry Beasley. Bud finds friendly Gaston County crowd in U.S. Senate bed. Where's Ted? That's a recap. Those are some of the stories about the invisible Ted Bud.
But it's like we have an invisible campaign here.
Correct.
It just doesn't exist.
Well, the more he flies under the radar, the better off it is for him. The less people know about Ted Bud, and I think his campaign knows that, right? They're trying they're not trying to get him out there and do stuff. They want him to do the basic minimums in front of very friendly crowds, and he can shoot a gun every now and again. And that'll be it, and then cruise to victory. I think that's what they think is going to happen.
You know what? Normally I say, oh, okay, that'll work. It's North Carolina. Right. But you'll notice you don't see one word about abortion on there.
No.
Ted Bud is a hardliner. Ted Bud is a minute of conception. If I had more, and by the way, remember, he would be a senator. He would have no control over abortion law, but doesn't matter. Not the point. If they can't hammer him and force him out there, or if he's scrubbed his website already of all of his views on abortion, like a bunch of Republicans have all around the country, because they read the polls, they see the tea leaves, they can spell that word Kansas. They see what happened, that it's a great stance for the hardcore anti-abortion wackos, but that ain't going to get you elected. If they can't hammer Ted Bud and beat him on that in this state, it would be pathetic. I think it would be pathetic.
They are,
really,
538 still has him pretty safely winning in their modeling. 63, they run their models 100 times, 63 times he wins, 37 times she wins. And they've got their polling that they put all together to it's within 3 points. It's within a margin of error. This is going to be a pretty close race, I think.
Well, yeah. And anytime you see these polls, they're not today. They're already history.
Right.
And, things are changing very, very quickly, because remember, every one of these people running, every one of them, and it doesn't even have to be said. It doesn't have to be on a T-shirt. It doesn't have to be in a commercial, are implicitly supportive of Donald Trump, because Trump is on the ballot. This is not a referendum on Joe Biden. No, it's a referendum on Donald Trump, and a choice election again between fill in your Democrat and Donald Trump. And the Democrats know that, and they are starting to run the 2022 campaigns that way. It's a winner. And every time Trump opens his mouth, every time Trump puts out a statement, which he's already done today, every day, he can't shut up. He can't keep his mouth shut. That's another little positive message on behalf of Democrats, because we cliche this and go, well, it's the independents who are going to decide. The independents have already decided. No. They've heavily broken already for Democrats. That's why Democrats keep winning all these elections that have occurred so far.
But you know what you're about to see is,
and they're doing nothing. The Republicans are doing nothing to.
Well, what you're about to see, particularly starting this weekend, is all of those ads, particularly on football games. That's what you're going to be seeing, is a lot of that stuff, just hammered. And that's very interesting to see how they do that.
But you know what? I always thought, and I think we've all thought this, a couple of times people have bought Super Bowl ads, political Super Bowl ads.
They tried, yeah.
Which is weird anyway, because the Super Bowl's in February. The last time I checked, elections are in November, but okay. But it has happened. It does happen. And usually they go nowhere, because the first thought is nobody wants to see political ads during football. They don't want to see them. We want the beer commercials. We want the car commercials.
Yeah, but it gets the biggest audience, so that's where they're going to try to load them up.
But what I'm saying is, by definition, it's a turnoff.
Oh, I would say somewhat, yeah. But then if you get both sides doing it, then the turnoff is equal. You can't be pissed off at this guy if this guy's also doing it, right?
Well, but then you've gained nothing. In other words, the general effectiveness of TV advertising, that ship sailed a long time ago. It's over.
Yeah, I think you're right.
They can throw $100 million onto TV in the next few months, and it's not going to matter because
I would agree with you normally, but the only thing that really wins is sports programming. The NFL is king of that stuff. But in general, as far as old media goes, it's way less important than social media. I think that's demonstrably true in any number of situations. Social media it just destroys whatever old media was. Like we used to get those radio ads all the time. They would spend a ton of money on radio ads. My God, I can't even imagine those would be anything near effective now, right?
Well, always hear it's still effective in minority communities on urban radio stations.
Yeah.
They very often will target or Spanish language radio station.
I find that the urban radio stations do the best job at connecting with their community. Honestly, that almost in every city without fault, really.
Yeah. Which is why I'm glad that the station we used to be on now speaks Spanish, because it's a much more effective radio station. We're 101.1.
Well, it was a great decision all the way around.
And now of course, it's 101.1, the Pinata. I think isn't that what it's called?
We can't do any better than that.
Yeah.
Let's dip out. Everybody enjoy your weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.